Welcome, everybody, to the Far and Beyond podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Jones, along with Karyn Hurley. And, of course, we've got our special guest today, Ray Rapaglia. Stephanie's not with us today. She'll be with us next time, so don't worry about it. I just want to remind everybody out there, take a moment, like the show, subscribe to the channel, and certainly leave your comments. Karyn.
Hi. Well, aren't we lucky today? So, as many of you know, this is a monthly podcast for Far and Beyond. And each month we have a special visitor and someone who knows FARR really well and can explain experiences so that everybody gets an idea of exactly what's happened through the years and why we're so dedicated to having FARR. For me, I, as many of you know, own sober living houses in the state of New York when I lived up there early in my sobriety, and nothing was certified. Luckily, we did really good work. But when I moved down here, there was a lot going on. So a lot of bad things were going on. And I think that FARR stepped in a vision that was pretty chaotic in the beginning, as Ray will talk about. But, fact is, great things have happened. And I believe a lot of lives have been saved as a result of it. So I've known Ray Rapaglia, I guess, 2017 or 18, when Scott and I were program directors of a treatment center down here. And we used to talk a lot then, and you were just starting in your programs and what you're doing now. This is Ray Rapaglia. I have a great deal of respect for. I serve on the board of FARR with him, and he's been a great supporter of me being able to be back on the board. I was on a couple times, but I'm so proud to be here. I'm so proud to know you. I'm really honored at what you do and the lives that you save. So this is Ray Rapaglia from James Club.
Well, hello, everybody, and I'm just very grateful to be here with the two of you. I'm a big Karyn Hurley fan. I'm a big Scott Jones fan, and I am a super big fan of FARR.
Oh, absolutely. Now, you've been in the business. So before we talk about FARR, you yourself have been in this recovery business, especially down here in this area with James Club. How long now?
James Club will be open 9 years this September.
All right.
But I was also involved with another facility in Hollywood called JC Recovery House.
Okay.
And then coincidentally, last week, I celebrated my 15-year clean and sober anniversary.
All right.
So I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. In 2010, I was homeless for a day and a night. I got into a recovery house, and it was a game changer for me. So I believe in FARR certified recovery houses. The facility I went into was certified. It was a great program, and it helped me to turn my life around.
Let's be honest for a moment. And we always lay it out, the truth. You've seen, in all these years, these 15 years, you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the recovery business. There have been bad players. There's been good intentions, but bad results. There's been a lot of that going on. How important is it to have somebody like FARR come in and set standards and help people meet those standards?
I think it's of paramount importance. I don't think there's anything more important. We're talking about people's lives.
Yeah.
I come from a Wall Street background. I was a stockbroker for many years. So I believe in oversight. I believe in accountability. And I believe in doing it the right way. I've been very blessed, as you mentioned, during the 15 years to see it all. I'm kind of a ground soldier. I work with men. I've been very fortunate to meet some amazing individuals. The state attorney of Palm Beach County, Dave Ehrenberg, and I are good friends. He's a heck of a golfer. He's my golfing buddy. And the new state attorney, Alexia Cox, is also just remarkable. Our state attorney in Broward, Harold Pryor, I'm just such a big fan of. And I know we're all committed to doing it the right way. So as you mentioned, unfortunately, there was some bad players. And watching what FARR has done over the past couple of years has truly been miraculous. The job that Michael Schlossman and Michael Cabot, with their leadership and their phenomenal team, has been just a pleasure to watch. I call FARR now the new FARR. compared to the old FARR. It's so different now, and I'm so excited for our future as well.
That's definitely accurate that it's new, right, Karyn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we all know, because we were on board for a long time and around this and worked in treatment, Scott and I, as well as you, is that we saw a lot of things happening that we certainly, I felt like we were trafficking, people coming into recovery, and that was just not okay. And yet people were doing it. And I think FARR tried so hard to step in. It was still in its infancy, but its ideas were good. And it was just not cohesive enough. But in the last 3.5 years or 3 years since I've been back on this board, and I said I would watch and see what I thought. And I would let you know, but I'll tell you what, within 2 or 3 weeks, tour meetings, watching what Michael Cabot put together and pulled everything together. I'm on the executive board. So every Monday, every Friday, we were with the team every single week for a year. The executive board never missed. We were all there every single week. And FARR grew. We became cohesive. There was direction. And then when Michael Schlossman came on board, of course, we all know what happened from there. It's an amazing, amazing nonprofit that helps so many people. And I believe a lot of lives have been saved, as all three of us do.
There's no doubt. And I think statistically it's proven. I've been seeing the decline in overdose deaths. I'm seeing the willingness of non-certified facilities to become certified. And they're seeing the benefits. I think a lot of people were intimidated a little bit with FARR and maybe misunderstood them. And I think the new FARR is portraying themselves correctly as a very supportive organization. And I think that's what we need, that we have someone or an entity that can help us. I've never owned a halfway house before, Scott. This is a first for me. I've made a lot of mistakes. We opened on 9/11/2016, and my wife did an analysis recently. We've had 3,000 men and women come through our doors in the 9 years.
Congratulations.
There's a lot of turnover, and then you have your graduates. So when I have a question, I reach out to FARR. And even though I'm a board member, I don't want any type of special treatment. I want to learn. I want us to get better. I want James Club recovery to improve. I want to, provide the most efficient recovery house, because a facility just like mine, a little bit of a different concept, saved my life.
Ray, I gotta ask you, because was your wife with you when you started this?
She was.
Okay. So you guys went in, I'm sure you had the best of intentions right from the beginning. You want to do it better than everybody else. You want to help people and all that. Just for the people out there listening who are either brand new or thinking about opening a place, what were some of the pitfalls that you didn't know you would have to face? What are some of those things?
It's amazing you asked that great question, especially bringing up my wife.
Okay.
Tracy worked in another career for 24 years. And we met around the same time I opened up James Club. And she retired from her other career to help me at James Club, because I was letting in everyone for free. Nobody was paying, and I didn't care. I was helping people. I felt so great about myself. And my wife steps in and says, no, we need to have sustainability. We're going to have to start charging. You can only let a certain percentage in with grace periods. So a mistake I made was to underestimate the expenses and the business side of it. And I've been so blessed that my wife is an accountant by trade. So she handles the administration and I work more with the men. So the advice I have this week alone, 3 non-certified recovery houses reached out to me to ask me, how do they start a halfway house? I said, the first thing I would do, contact FARR.
Yes.
Ask them for advice. They'll provide you lots of information, lots of guidance, and do your homework initially. Don't just go out and rent a house and throw a whole bunch of guys in there. It's
Yeah.
a lot more than that.
Well, one of the issues with doing something like that is you want to let everybody in, you want to do, but then you end up cash strapped, you end up in trouble, and then you take shortcuts so that you could stay alive, and that's where a lot of people get in trouble. Whereas if you do it and you have somebody like your wife, so having a good financial person with you is so important, isn't it?
It certainly is, but you mentioned a great point, Scott. You know, then if you are struggling financially, you might do things that you shouldn't do.
Right.
You know, for example, we would never take anyone in unless they can pass a drug test. They can tell me they have a month in rent in advance and they have the startup cost and they want to pay right then and there, but they still have something in their system. We won't accept that money.
We've seen desperation like that hurt people, haven't we?
We
Karyn?
have. And, you know, one of the things that we've always talked about, you and I, is because we were involved in sober livings in New York. You know, there were 4 or 5 of us that did some of that work when we lived in upstate New York. But one of the things that I began to realize, and I think is true, and we want to give people like you, people help me get sober and clean. And I wouldn't be here today if they hadn't. And I always want to give back, but I have the same problem. I want to give. But one of the things I started to think about one day, and I worked with a sober physician, Charlie Gant, for a lot of years. And he used to say to me, if you stand in somebody's way, at the end of the day, if you give people too much, what happens is they don't get to feel good about them.
Mm.
And then I started thinking about the people that we all got sober with. We didn't just get things for free. We had to work for that. And at the end of the day, you feel a whole lot better about yourself.
It's amazing you say that because I've been really blessed working with the court system.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we have 5 retired Broward County judges on the board of directors of our nonprofit. We get court orders from time to time, and I've worked closely with drug court. And one of the drug court judges, Michelle Tobin Singer, said exactly what you said, Karyn. Because I was upset at my wife when she said we have to charge everyone. I'm like, what do you mean? I call up my sponsor, who happens to be a Catholic priest in New York, my younger brother, who has 34 years clean and sober, and he tells me, you better listen to your wife or you're not going to be able to help people.
That's right.
And Judge Tobin Singer said that you cannot enable them. And it's a really important thing for them to become self-sufficient so that we can provide them the proper tools. And my dad, God rest his soul, he was not in recovery, nor is my wife. I think it's important to get advice too, Scott, from people that are not in recovery. I think that's key.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And my dad told me to be fair, to be loving, and to be consistent. So with my wife, it took us 9 years. We now have policies. We have a certain percentage of our beds that we can utilize for what we call grace periods. We unfortunately can't carry balances on Friday because once a landlord hears you're a recovery house, they'll jack up your rent.
Yes.
So it makes it very expensive with all of the utilities, insurance, and the rest of the bills that you need to pay to have that sustainability. And that's the concern you mentioned, Scott. That's when someone might do something in the quote unquote gray area, thinking he's not doing something wrong, but he is. For example, somebody relapses on a Friday. Good person has no place to go, paying their rent. Let me just keep them on a couch for a couple of days. It's not right. Okay, that person has to go. Well, he has to get into a place like Respite in Margate with the fellowship, which is a great facility, and come back when he can drop clean. So now, even though I'm the owner of the James Club, I'm not above the policies. We have in writing protocol and procedures that I must follow.
Well, there's another point to that. If you do that, you're paying the consequences of someone's actions, not them.
Good point.
And if you're paying the consequences, how many families do we see that love their children to death because nobody can say no? So they're always paying the consequences. to someone's actions. No one gets to be free unless you have to pay your own consequences. All of us have paid our own consequences for what we're doing, or we wouldn't be sitting here. Nobody paid our way. I mean, you went all the way down. I did, you did. We know each other. There's no way anybody bailed us out. We probably would be sitting
Absolutely.
here.
So true. And going back to FARR, with the new FARR, I think it's really evident that FARR sort of rebranded itself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really wonderful because it's making FARR certified facilities like James Club proud to be FARR certified.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people feel the same way. There's benefits, but it's also the right thing to do. Because a lot of people thought of FARR, in my opinion, in the past as somewhat of a regulatory agency or an enforcement division. And it's not really like that. Of course, we want everyone to do the right thing. But like I said, they're there to guide you and support you.
Well, a few years back, they would lay down a lot. They'd show up whenever it was time. And Michael Schlossman talks about this so openly.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons I appreciate the FARR's board and the people there, because they'll talk openly about, in the past, we did it wasn't right the way we did it. It was not proper. But now they show up when they say they're going to show up. They've got people in place. They're always there. I want to bring something around here that when we talk about sober living, I don't think we talk about this enough. Being a part of the overall recovery community is so important because with all these sober houses, without a unifying body like FARR, without relationships with RCOs and respites, without relationships with detoxes and treatment centers, it becomes like the OK Corral. Everybody's just shooting and grabbing people off the streets and nobody's talking. Your relationships with other entities is so important, isn't it?
It certainly is. And I think it's important because I also bring my recovery experience into those relationships.
Yes.
Where if I have to call someone out, I'll call someone out. And if I need to be called out, I'm not beyond reproach. I made many mistakes in the beginning, as I joked about. I never owned a halfway house before. I didn't realize it was so complicated. You know, this September will be 9 years, and I've never taken a day off, including Saturdays and Sundays. I haven't been on vacation, but it's not work when you love what you do.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just something that I think with the new FARR, because I call the old FARR, I call the previous FARR the old FARR, you know, there were issues, but the new FARR is truly looking to improve and take us to higher levels. And I'm hoping one day, I always had this idea, I've never really taken it to a higher level. I love that we have FARR, but maybe there could also be some self-policing as well, like we had on Wall Street, an SRO, self-regulatory organization. On Wall Street, we had the NASD, which is also called FINRA these days, and then you had the SEC. So I just really get concerned, like you said, all these years being on the ground. I've seen the patient brokering. I've seen the insurance fraud.
Yeah.
I've seen people come and approach me and offer me money for things that are just insulting that they would even talk with me about. You know, and I've seen the arrests up in Palm Beach and in Broward County, because there are still some players that exploit individuals. To me, it's almost human trafficking.
It is.
I can tell it upsets you.
It upsets me greatly. You know, I can see a little innocent mistake, but there's some places that might encourage you to relapse, or they might even facilitate it for you. Because once they are affiliated with an insurance type treatment center, sometimes things could change if you're not focused on an entity like FARR. If your top priority is not integrity, it could become a problem. But the good news is it's only a small percentage, in my opinion, these days. And FARR has been a big reason why the industry is going in such a great direction.
I think since we've moved here, we've been here what? I moved down first, probably 17, and you.
I've been here I've been here 13.
Okay, so I've been here 15 years.
Yes.
And one of the things that I was appalled, because when I saw some of what was going on down here, that's when I went and asked to be part of things. And I guess it was before that though, because I was.
No, you were down here anyway.
I was on and
I
off.
was down
for almost 10 years at G&G Holistics with John Giordano. 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out. That's where I met Rick and John Lehman originally. So, but I can, every business that grows gets kind of, everybody tries to do all the right thing. But I'll tell you, in the last 3-4 years, since Michael Cabot became chairman and then Michael Schlossman on, amazing. And I know you can see it. I can see it.
100%.
All of us can see it.
And I also think we need to give kudos once again to Dave Arenberg and his team.
Oh, absolutely.
What they did up in Palm Beach County.
Absolutely.
And the oversight. And with that said, with FARR and Michael working closely with both state attorney's office. I'm in Broward County, Scott.
Yeah.
And I still have relationships with quite a few people in Palm Beach County, even though Dave has retired. And with that said, I think that with FARR's assistance and with the direction they're going in with the new branding, I don't want to use the word marketing, but they're doing wonderful business development type events.
True
to
business
let the
development.
community
Yes.
know
Yes.
who FARR is and how they can help.
The great events.
One of the most wonderful things that has happened that I see happened this last year is all of us, we got to go be part of that. And we were in like seven different areas, same areas as DCF or 6 around the state. And we in Sober Livings were invited to come in, and there were, programs. Michael would do PowerPoints and talk about what we are, how we've grown, what's happening. And I'm an observer person. So I would sit there and watch people's reaction, and they were interested. They wanted to belong to something. They could see the difference of now what it is versus where it used to be. And then they have the quarterlies that go on all the time. Every single month, you can zoom in and hear what's happening.
It's wonderful.
And get help.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I mean, wow.
And
right?
then you mentioned a few names. I think it's important to give kudos to Patrick Slattery,
Yep.
Of course.
Michael Gordon,
Yes.
okay,
Oh, absolutely.
Will Atkinson,
Yeah, well, absolutely.
and then someone who I think is a little quiet in the background who deserves a lot of kudos is Susan Ramsey. For what she
Quiet.
does for
Hold on. It's the first time I've ever heard anybody say she's
maybe not that
quiet
quiet.
in the background. Quiet in the background.
Wow.
Michael Schlossman just fell off his chair hearing that statement.
well, you don't hear about her as much.
I
as
know.
what-
Yeah,
as
she
when I
does.
mention it,
Yeah.
That
but
whole-
she's done a phenomenal job.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that whole staff, Josh Thrasher
Oh,
and Angie and, Trish and all the people that are Jordan and all the people and Chris that are there, and they've gone day after day after day. And the certifications that are done now are so professional. And
Yeah.
not only that, it doesn't take you a year to get certified anymore. Within 30, 45 days, it's done. And it's amazing.
Not
And
to mention
and
setting up templates
Yes.
for all the paperwork you need to get done,
Yeah.
your P&P and everything else. It's a one-stop shop to help get you started.
Yep.
and you know what else is remarkable? I don't know if you have the exact numbers, but the growth in
Yeah.
the last 3 years of our beds, of the providers, of the different cities that we're now in, it's just truly
I have them
impressive.
in my office, but I
Yeah.
don't have them in
Yeah.
top of my head. But yes,
From what
and
I
we have
understand
grown.
from the last board meeting, I think FARR now oversees 10,000 beds.
I
I was just going to
You're
say
right.
it's
Yeah.
10,000 and the expectation to double that number over the next year and a half. Just because they're reaching out into the panhandle in different areas where they didn't have full representation
And
before.
correct. And with that is going to come wonderful new and revived relationships with other agencies, from
Agreed.
DCF to the government in Florida, who knows, federally as well. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to
Yeah.
work closer and closer with us, because I think once we get more support, once we can get more funding,
Yep.
we can provide even more services. My goal has always been, and Dave Sharp from the Broward Sheriff's Office,
Yeah.
another outstanding individual
Yep.
in our community. Dave always talked about his dream was to see FARR as a mandatory certification,
Yes, Dave.
not a voluntary certification.
Dave was in my office a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that.
Yeah,
What are
he's
your
going to
thoughts
be.
on that?
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely necessary. I think that's part of it. It has to come out of Tallahassee, and DCF and everything. But I think absolutely.
I do too. A small, I won't mention names, but a small recovery house with 2 houses reached out to me this past week. He's posting on Cash Pay Halfway House almost every day. And he's weighing if there's a benefit to be FARR certified or not.
Yeah.
And he called me to ask my opinion. I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yes. Well,
So, of course, I told
or the
him-
right guy.
or the right
Yeah.
guy.
Or the right guy. Yeah.
Or the right guy. But I just sensed he was going through the motions a little bit.
Well, and
you know.
one of the things that's happened in Fort Lauderdale, you have to be FARR certified. There's a few places.
Same with us in Oakland Park.
That's right. The
Yeah.
other side of that is if a level 4, a treatment center, can be fined if they forward people to you, refer people to you without being certified. So there's a lot of benefits to it. Plus, just all the services of belonging to a bigger group of people and knowing each other and referring to each other and helping each other. I mean, that is amazing. Going it by yourself is the old way for me. That's what we did when we were drinking and using. That's the old way. Coming together and working together is the new way, just like FARR is the new way.
And also because accountability, I think, is important too.
Yes.
And when you're sober, you don't mind accountability. You want accountability because you want to get better.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So I think that's important too.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely. Liabilities, it's ridiculous if you're not following the rules and doing the right things. If you don't have that kind of support, the knowledge that FARR brings you, without that, you can end up in a real world of hurt. We've seen, again, we've mentioned there's some bad apples out there, some bad characters who said, I'm going to make money off these people. They're recyclable commodities, and I'm going to use them over and over. That happens. But most times we see people go down the tubes. They started with the pie in the sky. I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to be fabulous. I'm going to be the best. And then through a series of bad decisions, they had to make shortcuts. They had to do this. Next thing you know, they're underwater. You know what that feels like to be
Sure.
facing those decisions. Again, you had your wife, and did you have others too that helped guide you during that time?
I
mean,
do.
you mentioned having like mentors is
I
a
do.
great
I-
idea.
At James Club, we have a concept we call the 7 S's to success.
All right.
It's been my experience that if you apply these 7 elements, I believe you have a better chance at permanent sobriety. And my first S is my sponsor. My second S is my support group. And my third S is my spiritual director. That's a total of 12 men. I consult with these individuals often, most especially my sponsor, who dedicated part of his ministry to James Club, where I bounce things off of him. One quick comment, if I may, Scott, on
Of
what
course.
Karyn mentioned before. I could sum up in one sentence why you should be FARR certified. Ready?
You're on.
Ready for it.
It's the right thing to do.
Here you go.
Absolutely.
Write that
it
shit
is.
down, people.
It's
It
the
is.
right
Write
thing to
that
do.
down. Write that down.
It truly is.
It
Yes,
is.
It truly
Yes,
is.
it is.
You know,
It is.
and for many reasons, I think it's the right thing to do.
And there's financial, you have to pay the fees. They work with you on those. Don't ever think they won't work with you. They will.
Good point.
They do.
But and there's work that you have to get done. You have to make sure that your policy and procedures, make sure that your things are done, get your CRRA in place. Oh my God, there's so much work. But you know what? If you want a longevity of business, you do it the right way. You could have longevity. You've been here for 9 years. You're expecting at least 9 more, probably 90
We
more.
talked about this before we came
Yeah.
on air. I'm 63 years old. I'm not working a day past 100. I'm
That's-
retired at the age of 100.
Well,
And I
maybe-
want to be doing it the entire time at James Club. Because thanks to my wife and us having policies and doing it the right way, we've been blessed. We have reserves. We always make sure we have a certain amount of months that we can pay our bills. We've never once been late with an electric payment. We've never been once late with a water bill. We
Right.
started off by renting our properties. But I think, and it's a spiritual lesson that's been taught to me that I stress to my sponsees, you have to have a correct intention in all things.
Yes.
You mentioned that before, how so many people go into this wanting to help, but not everyone.
That's right.
The person I spoke with recently was talking about, well, if I can get 20 guys in the house and they could spend $200 a week and I can rent something for $4,000 a month, I can make $5,000 a month from my pocket. I said to him, if that's your focus, this is not going to work. You can't go into it with that mindset. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And I would say, Ray, if you agree with this, that if you want an easy life, be selfish and take care of you. You want a hard life where it's difficult, you got to work hard, but it's so much more rewarding than help others. People get the wrong idea. They think, oh, I'm going to be giving, and it's just going to be an easy thing. Helping others is one of the hardest things you could do, but it's also the most rewarding.
It's so
There's no doubt. And I debated if I should share this, but I will.
All right, go for it.
In the past 12 months that I've been at James Club, take a guess what my salary has been every Friday.
Oh, the same as ours, you mean? The same as ours.
And guess what? I've never been happier in my life.
I see that.
My bills are paid. I have a little debit card. I can put gas in my car. And I eat every day. I have a roof over my head. I have a wonderful, wonderful life. My children are healthy. And I love my calling. I really do. And with that said, as I shared off air, if I can share
Please.
something that we're all very excited about, James Club Recovery is opening up a mental health and addiction counseling center in Wilton Manors. We've been working on it for almost 2 years. My wife and I acquired a very small building. It was a little fix-me-upper, but it's zoned for addiction and mental health counseling. And we met with our consultant in DCF recently. We're about 30 days away from opening up.
Congratulations.
And I'm excited about it because I want the community to know that if they have someone who needs mental health or addiction counseling, and that person has no insurance, and that person has no money, please call Ray. We're going to figure out a way to help that person no matter what. And I also want to be one of the first facilities that provides, although I might have to put my wife in a headlock on this one. She didn't initially like the idea, but I do. I want to be able to provide mental health evaluations at no cost. I think it's a really important thing in recovery.
And let's put everybody at ease. If he actually tried to put her in a headlock, she'd kill him.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that right now.
Say that.
Don't
Say
flip
that.
out.
He's not lying.
But, you know,
She can kick my ass.
The same thing for Scott and I when we started One Brother, One Sister. When my brother, killed himself, we said we would never charge a police officer, firefighter, or veteran, and we have not. At the end of the month, at the end of the week, somebody said to me the other day, so how much money do you guys take for a paycheck? I laughed because we never have, but same as you. But at the end of every day when we leave here, and we carpool, we live down the street from each other, and we carpool and we get up in the morning and we laugh about what we're doing and being happy about being in this office, being happy about working in the community and the people in the community we get to work with. Who could have a better life? I don't know who could. I sure couldn't.
It's definitely true. And on that note, just to share with Scott, because I'm pretty sure you know our business model. We have a not-for-profit and we have a for-profit side as well. And with the not-for-profit side, where we've gotten some donations, we utilize that to help indigent addicts when they come in on day one without any money whatsoever.
Right.
There's two ways for your information and for anyone else who might benefit from this. For someone who has no money to come into a FARR certified recovery residence, look for a scholarship, which are rare, which means you don't have to pay it back, or look for a grace period, which are common, not so common these days, where you'll get a certain amount of time to pay. But I analyze grace periods. I'm a very analytical person. We look at statistics, my wife and I. We see percentage-wise what works. We try to get a general idea of what our success rate is, how long someone stays clean and sober, et cetera. And with that said, we found that grace periods don't work unless you make them comfortable.
Right.
So if somebody comes in and they get a month or two grace period, and then when it's time for them to start paying rent, and they owe the halfway house $1,000 or $1,500, that could be so much pressure for
Stressful.
that person.
Yeah.
And then that individual might get their first paycheck and say, why should I give it to this halfway house? I'll start fresh somewhere else. So our nonprofit scholarships, the startup cost.
That's
And
awesome.
we give 3 weeks of a grace period, but we review every 7 days to make sure that the individual is looking for work and above all,
So
working a program of
Yes.
recovery.
That's awesome.
I think that's
Absolutely.
key.
That's awesome. Good
Absolutely.
For you. Good for you. I know. I remember when you started that, and it's very successful. And good for you for doing that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because, we talk a lot about the good ones, the bad ones, the FARR certified, the non-FARR certified. We talk about the problems quite often,
Yeah.
correct? I don't think we talk about the solution enough.
I
I
agree.
agree.
And I think part of that solution is connection. And it's being under an umbrella like FARR. It's also just building relationships with the different entities. There are still sober livings out there that are not connected to anybody, that don't understand the usefulness of RCOs and different things. We need to educate people. We need to be there for people. Ray, I know you're one of those people. If somebody had a question, you invite them to ask. You're there to help. You're not there to say nobody else is allowed to open a place, right?
Absolutely. And I on purpose recite a jingle anytime that I am blessed to share a little bit about myself or give some thoughts on something, because my ministry's been the jails and the prisons. I brought hundreds and hundreds of meetings into the jails. And one day I got into a little bit of good trouble. I was so upset because I'm very upsettable, of course, as my brand sponsor said, because one of the deputies reprimanded me for writing my phone number on a piece of paper about 10 years ago to give it to an inmate so that when he came out, I can help him. And the deputy said, Ray, you can't do that. And I never did it again. But then I looked down at my own phone number and it dawned on me and I came up with the jingle. And I like to share the jingle with your audience.
Go for it.
I would tell everyone when I was speaking, if you needed help and you wanted to do the right thing and you wanted to stay clean, I would ask them, what's the area code to Broward County, Florida? And they would all go, 954. And what's the gun we used to rob the banks with? The 380. And what year did Christopher Columbus discover America?
1492.
1492.
Yeah. I just went blank. Holy shit.
1492. And then I would ask
I was right
everyone,
around 1984, but I was close.
It's funny, people
14
say that.
Yeah.
And then I would ask everyone simultaneously, they would say when I would ask, and what's that, everybody? Ray's cell phone number.
Hey, there we go.
Nice.
954-380-1492. If I could be of any help to anyone, it would be a blessing for me and an honor.
I thought it was going to be a different jingle, like a good neighbor. James Club is there. All right. If you want to know more about what Ray's doing with his staff and all of the great work, go to jamesclubrecovery.com and you can see what's going on. Good luck and congratulations on the new health building, the mental health. I think it's fantastic you're doing that. As a matter of fact, if pick a celebrity that you like, a rock and roller, and I'll donate a painting for your lobby at your new place. So
I'd like to add one quick thing. if
yes,
I could,
please
before
do.
we
Do.
close.
Do.
I think you know the answer, but I'm going to ask Scott. Any idea why we're called the James Club?
I was going to ask that because people get it mixed up with JC and different things
I
like
know,
that.
because the initials
So-
are the same.
Okay.
JC Recovery House in Hollywood is a faith-based organization. I was involved with them. Great company run by Stevie B, who's just
I love Stevie B.
We
a
love
legend
Stevie
in the
B.
recovery
Yeah,
industry.
love Stevie
Stevie
B.
was my sponsor for many years.
All right.
He's been a big part
He's
of my
awesome.
success.
I worked with Stevie B for 2 years. It was awesome.
Great person.
Yeah.
And when I broke away from JC's 9 years ago to start James Club, I came up with the name because I accidentally worked a program of recovery when I got clean that replicated what they did in 1935 when AA first started. The original name, according to the co-founder, Dr. Bob, in his biography on page 71, He stated that the original name of AA was the James Club
That's right.
because they taught from the book of James.
That's right.
The big book points out there was a 75% success rate back then.
That's right.
So my second month out of the box, I was sponsoring 19 men.
Mm.
And guess what? And I mean this. I was the worst sponsor in the history of mankind.
I
I might still be. But as my sponsor pointed out, it kept me sober.
That's right.
So what we do at James Club, Scott, what I wanted to just share before we end today is we take individuals through the steps in 30 days.
Mhm.
We have a book that's patent pending called the How-To Handbook. We're in the process of becoming evidence-based. We're talking about the solution. So if you're a new client of James Club, in 30 days, we're going to take you through the 12 steps the James Club way. And on the 31st day, when a new man comes in, we're going to ask you to take that individual through the 12 steps the way we took you through the 12 steps. We pay it forward. And that's what's been working so well for us. I'm not saying this is the only way to stay clean and sober, but this is what we do.
And it's a way that kind of got lost, I think, because the original concept of the steps were not to be done one a year or over all these long periods of times, or to do book reports on every step.
So funny.
It was meant to be done rapidly and to boost that start, just like Bill W. did in the hospital room.
So true. And it's amazing you say that, because the 3,000 or so men and women that have come through our doors, I've asked them all the same question, and I've got the same exact answer from everyone. And when a new guy comes in, I ask the same question. In the past, did you do your 12 steps quickly, say 30 to 60 days, and then immediately start taking others through the steps? No. I go, you're 3,001. And that's when it dawned on me. So more of our guys that stay clean and sober will tell everyone that the secret to their success is they feel joy by helping others, by sponsoring others, and having that purpose.
Now
so that's what we do.
You also feel good about yourself because you completed something.
Yeah.
Now you're helping somebody else to do what you just learned. And as that moves forward, you get to feel even better, and you continue with sobriety.
And who would know that better than you?
I don't
45 years clean and sober. She's legendary in the recovery industry.
Thank you.
So many people love and admire you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm just so grateful to you too, Scott.
Scott
Thank you both for letting me come
remembers me
today.
getting sober.
I remember her. I got sober when she got sober.
She was telling me the story.
I relapsed in the middle, but I was there at the beginning, and she was not who you see now. She was not a nice person.
No.
I'm just telling you right now.
She's in my support group, Scott. When I have something on my mind,
There you
and
go.
I have an issue or something that's bothering me, I talk to Karyn, and she makes me see it from a completely different point of view. And you always make me feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
And thank you, Ray, for everything you're doing with James Club and your support of FARR for all these years, and really moving forward and being a voice in the darkness. We do appreciate that. You do have a light about you, and we appreciate that you have that.
My
And
final
happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
My final comment on why I have that light and why I'm grateful and why I'm passionate. On Monday, June 21st, 2010, I'm sure you remember it was a Monday.
Of course.
I was homeless for one day and one night. I couldn't stop drinking. I lived under a tree in the Pompano Beach Cemetery, and I had a rope in my backpack. I was trying to determine what branch to hang myself from.
Yep.
And a man helped me for no reason at all, and he got me into a FARR certified recovery house, and I stayed there for 14 months, and it saved my life. So I'm a very, very grateful man, Scott. I'm grateful to the two of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank all of you for taking a little bit of time today and spending it with us. Want to encourage you, please like this channel, subscribe to the channel, and certainly leave your comments, share this with your friends, and go check out what's going on with FARR. All new website, new events. They're getting ready to plan for the coming year, all the new events they're going to be doing. And so the best way to follow that is go to farronline.org. That's FARR, F-A-R-R, online.org. And you can follow everything they're doing. And right after you're done looking at all the cool FARR stuff, go over and visit our friend Ray at jamesclubrecovery.com. Karyn, final thought?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
I
Long
was-
overdue.
I was remembering when we met, Scott, when you and I were program directors at TPA, you were up around the corner and we toured then. So I'm
That's
grateful.
remarkable.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful to know the wonderful people that are in this community, and we all stay sober and clean together, helping other people. This couldn't be better. My heart is full.
Same here.
And again, thank you, Ray, for joining us here today, taking time. Really important your message and sharing, you know, the honesty that it was never always easy. It was not always easy, but it was always worth it. And I want to thank the real person that we need to thank for all of this today, Ray's wife, for not letting them fail. All right, so for all of us right here at Far and Beyond Podcast, have a good day. We'll see you next time.
Take good care.